Hi, welcome. Enjoy the content. Subscribe and turn on notifications.
Lucas checked his watch. Against the dashboard clock. It was 4 in the afternoon. This was an anomaly. In 15 years of service at the fire department, the roster had never been wrong. He was meticulous. A man of routine and structure. But today, the station supervisor had made a clerical error. He was not supposed to be on shift. He was sent home. He took it as a sign. The universe, usually chaotic and indifferent, seemed to be offering him a rare moment of grace. The drive home was quiet. The wipers slashed rhythmically against the windshield, clearing away the gray drizzle that blanketed the city. Lucas thought about Sarah. She was 36 years old now. They had been married for 18 years. A timeline that felt less like a partnership lately, and more like a stale contract. He tried to recall the last time he truly looked at her. Sarah was still beautiful. In a sharp, maintained way. She had dark hair that she dyed to hide the early grays, and she spent hours at the gym to keep the figure she had in her 20s. But beneath the maintenance, there was a hardness. Her answers had become short. Her hugs were quick, tactical withdrawals, rather than embraces. Lucas pulled the truck over at a bakery 3 blocks from their house. He bought a box of lemon tarts. It was a cliché, he knew. A man coming home early with pastries, hoping to bridge a gap that had grown wide enough to swallow a house. He wanted to believe it was just a phase. Relationships had seasons. This was just a winter. He parked in the driveway. The house was silent. He unlocked the front door quietly. Not out of suspicion, but because he wanted to surprise her. He wanted to see her face light up. Before the mask of daily frustration slid into place. He was halfway up the stairs. When the data of his life began to corrupt, he heard a laugh. It was not a polite, dinner party laugh. It was a low, throaty sound, muffled by the bedroom door. Lucas paused on the 7th step. His heart rate, usually steady even in a burning building, spiked. Sarah rarely laughed like that anymore. Not with him. He moved to the landing. The door to the master bedroom was slightly ajar. Lucas did not burst in. He did not scream. He was a man trained to assess hazardous environments before engaging. He stood there for 10 seconds, listening to the rustle of sheets and the low murmur of a male voice. He slowly pushed the door open. The visual data hit him with the force of a backdraft. Sarah was there. On the bed they had purchased 3 years ago. She was unclothed. Her arms were wrapped around a man Lucas recognized instantly. Not from their social circle, but from the television screen in the station's common room. Dominic Vance. The celebrity chef. The man Sarah claimed to admire for his culinary genius and artistic vision. Sarah froze. Her eyes went wide, the color draining from her face until she looked like a wax figure. Dominic scrambled, pulling the duvet up. His movements jerky and pathetic. He looked smaller than he did on TV. Lucas did not yell. He felt a cold detachment wash over him. A mechanism his mind used to survive trauma. He reached into his pocket and pulled out his phone. His hand trembled slightly. A biological reaction he noted with annoyance. But he steadied it. He pressed. "Lucas, stop." Sarah shrieked. She tried to cover her face with a pillow. Dominic was stumbling out of the bed, trying to find his trousers. "Look, man. Let's not do this. Put the phone down." Lucas focused the lens on Dominic's face, then panned to Sarah, then back to the scattered clothes on the floor. He needed the timestamp. He needed the context. "Get out," Lucas said. His voice was not loud, but it carried the weight of a collapsing structure. "Lucas, please," Sarah sobbed. "It's not what it looks like. It looks like you are sleeping with a chef." "In my bed," Lucas said. His tone monotone. "Get out of my house." He turned the camera on Dominic, stepping closer. The chef was hopping on one leg, trying to pull on his designer jeans. Now, Dominic did not argue. He grabbed his shirt and ran past Lucas, bare-chested, clutching his shoes. Lucas followed him down the stairs, recording the entire retreat. He filmed Dominic fumbling with the front door lock. Filmed him running across the wet lawn, to a silver sports car parked down the street. Only when the car disappeared did Lucas stop recording. He saved the file. Evidence 1. MP4. He walked back inside. Sarah was sitting on the edge of the bed, wrapped in a sheet. She looked small. How long? Lucas asked. It was a mistake, she whispered. That is not a time frame, Lucas corrected. How long? 6 months, she admitted, looking at the floor. But Lucas, you were never here. You were always working. You became so distant. I felt invisible. Lucas listened to her words. He processed them. She was rewriting the narrative. She was converting her betrayal into his failure. It was a tactical maneuver. He did not argue. He walked to the closet, pulled out a duffel bag, and began packing his uniforms. Where are you going? Sarah asked, panic rising in her voice. Away from the fuel, Lucas muttered. He finished packing in 4 minutes. He walked out of the bedroom, down the stairs, and out the front door without looking back. He drove straight to the fire station. He did not sleep that night. He sat in the dark of his bunk, replaying the video on his phone, analyzing the frames, looking for the exact moment. His marriage had officially ceased to exist. Lucas stayed at the station for 3 days. He slept in short bursts. The rest of the time, he worked, or sat in the break room, staring at the wall. He needed to secure the perimeter. That meant Chloe. His daughter was 17. She was in her final year of high school. A quiet girl who spent her time painting and listening to music he didn't understand. She was the only variable in this equation that mattered. He texted her. Meet me at the coffee shop near school. Urgent. When she arrived, she looked tired. She was wearing a large sweater that swallowed her frame. She ordered a black tea. Lucas drank black coffee. Mom says you're having a midlife crisis, Chloe said, blowing on her tea. She didn't look at him. Lucas felt a spike of anger, but he suppressed it. Is that what she said? She said you left. That you refused to talk to her. I found your mother with another man, Lucas said. He did not sugarcoat it. He delivered the information as if he were reporting a structural failure. Dominic Vance, the chef. Chloe stopped blowing on her tea. She went very still. Dominic Vance? Yes. Are you sure? I have it on video, Lucas said. I am not going back to the house, Chloe. I will be filing for divorce. Chloe's face crumpled. For a moment. But then, a strange expression crossed her face. It was not just sadness. It was fear. She reached into her bag and pulled out her phone. She scrolled for a moment, her thumb shaking, and then turned the screen toward Lucas. This is Ryan, she whispered. Lucas looked at the screen. It was a photo of Chloe standing next to a boy. They were smiling. The boy was handsome, with dark hair and a confident grin. Who is Ryan? Lucas asked, though a cold knot was already tightening in his stomach. Ryan Vance, Chloe said, tears spilling over. He is Dominic's son. We have been dating for 5 months. The world seemed to tilt on its axis. Lucas stared at the photo. The boy had the same eyes as the man who had been in Lucas's bed. Does he know? Lucas asked. I don't know, Chloe stammered. We met at an art gallery opening. His dad catered it. Mom was there too. Lucas closed his eyes. The data points connected. Sarah had met the father. Through the daughter. Or perhaps, she had encouraged the daughter to date the son, to get closer to the father. The level of deception was not just marital. It was foundational. It contaminated everything. You have to break up with him, Lucas said. It was not a request. But Dad. Ryan didn't do anything, Chloe cried. He's not his dad. He is the son of the man who destroyed our family, Lucas said. His voice rising for the first time. Every time I see him, I will see that man. Do you understand? You're being unfair. Chloe shouted. She stood up, attracting the attention of the other patrons. You care more about your pride than my happiness. She ran out of the coffee shop. Lucas watched her go. He wanted to chase her. But his legs felt heavy. He sat there, looking at the empty chair. The contamination was spreading. It was not just a fire in the master bedroom anymore. The smoke had reached the children's quarters. The divorce papers were served. Sarah responded with a lawyer who specialized in high-asset dissolution. The first hearing was a farce. Sarah arrived wearing a modest gray dress, looking pale and victimized. Her lawyer argued that Lucas was emotionally abusive, that his demanding schedule as a firefighter amounted to abandonment, and that the incident was a cry for help from a neglected wife. Lucas sat in silence. He wore his dress uniform. When it was his turn, his lawyer simply submitted a USB drive containing evidence, 1 MP4, and a folder of screenshots of text messages Sarah had sent Dominic, which Lucas had retrieved from the family cloud account. The judge watched the video in chambers. When they returned, the atmosphere had shifted. The judge looked at Sarah with thinly veiled distaste. The abandonment argument evaporated. But Lucas was not satisfied. A divorce decree was just paper. It did not balance the scales. Sarah was still living in the house. Dominic Vance was still posting photos of his new seasonal menu on social media. The public narrative was that Dominic was a charming genius, and Sarah was a private woman going through a rough patch. Lucas wanted to know the enemy. He spent his nights at the station, researching Dominic Vance. He watched hours of interviews. He read business profiles. Something did not add up. Dominic had opened 4 new restaurants in 2 years. He lived in a penthouse downtown, drove a car worth $200,000, and constantly bragged about his locally sourced, high-cost ingredients. Yet, public records showed his flagship restaurant had been operating at a loss for 3 consecutive quarters. Lucas called an old contact, Mark, a former fire investigator who now worked as a forensic accountant for a private firm. "I need a background check," Lucas told him. "Deep dive. Financials. On the wife?" Mark asked. "On the boyfriend. Dominic Vance. The chef?" "Expensive taste," Mark laughed. "Send me what you have." 2 weeks later, Mark met Lucas at a diner on the edge of town. He slid a thick manila envelope across the table. "You were right to be suspicious," Mark said, lowering his voice. "The guy is running a shell game. He is inflating his expenses to hide income, and he is using ghost employees to siphon cash. But the big thing, sales tax. He is collecting it from customers, but reporting only 40% of it to the state. We are talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars. Over 5 years." Lucas opened the file. He saw the spreadsheets. The numbers were black and white. They were facts. Facts could not be manipulated by tears or excuses. "What do you want to do?" Mark asked. "I can take this to the authorities. Get a whistleblower fee." "No fee," Lucas said. He took the envelope. "I will handle the delivery." Lucas did not leak the information to the press. That would be messy. That would be revenge. This was a correction. He mailed copies of the financial report to the State Department of Revenue and the IRS. He sent a separate, anonymous package to the investors who backed Dominic's new bistro. Then, he waited. The explosion happened on a Tuesday. Lucas was checking equipment on the truck when the news broke on the TV in the break room. "Celebrity chef. Raided by feds." The footage showed agents carrying boxes out of Dominic's flagship restaurant. It showed Dominic, looking disheveled and terrified, being led into a car in handcuffs. Lucas watched the screen. He felt no joy. He felt the satisfaction of a job well done, like extinguishing a stubborn grease fire. The fallout was immediate and catastrophic. By the afternoon, Dominic's investors had pulled out. By the evening, the social media mob had turned on him. And then, the connection to Sarah leaked. A gossip column identified the mystery woman in the scandal as the wife of a local fire captain. Sarah called Lucas at 19 hours. He did not answer. She called 12 times. He listened to the voicemails later. She was hysterical. "They're outside the house, Lucas. Reporters. You have to help me. Dominic won't answer my calls. He blocked me. What did you do? Lucas deleted the message. The next day, Chloe came to the station. She looked terrible. Her eyes were red and swollen. Ryan broke up with me, she said. Her voice hollow. Lucas stood up, wanting to comfort her. But she held up a hand. He said his dad is going to jail. He said his family is ruined, he said. He said you did this. His father broke the law, Lucas said calmly. He stole from the public. I just pointed out where the bodies were buried. You ruined everything. Chloe screamed. You didn't have to destroy them. You just wanted to hurt Mom. And you didn't care if you hurt me too. I protected us, Lucas said. A man who lies about money, lies about everything. A man who sleeps with married women. Has no honor. You are better off without that family, Chloe. I hate you, she whispered. She turned and ran. This time, Lucas let her go. He sat down on the bumper of the fire engine. The station was quiet. He was alone. He had won the war. But the cost of the victory was absolute isolation. The divorce was finalized in February. Sarah accepted a settlement that was far less than she wanted. Mostly because she was desperate to leave town. The scandal had made her a pariah. She moved to a different state to live with her sister. The house was sold. Lucas took his share of the equity and rented a small apartment near the river. It was sparse. A bed. A table, a chair. No decorations. Chloe refused to see him. She was living in a dorm at the university now. She sent him a text once a month to acknowledge receipt of the allowance he deposited. But she never added words. Lucas went to work. He came home.